Good morning. Welcome to Recovery Rant TV. As you may know, I'm Regina Viella, and I thank you so much for tuning in. I woke up this morning with a kind of a heaviness in my heart, and I just had this, I don't know, like this incredible sensation that I want to help somebody. And I don't know, you know how you do. You go through your list of people. Okay, well, should I call this person? Should I call that person? There's so much going on. Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Harvey, flood victims. Oh my goodness, the islands, Puerto Rico. And I was like, okay, Lord, I went through the list. And I still had this thing, this bearing down on me. And He suddenly reminded me of step 1 of the 12 steps. And He said to me, I know this is difficult for many believers because you don't always understand. And when I say believers, I'm talking about believers in the gospel of Jesus Christ. So many don't understand the nature and the history of the 12 steps. But 12 steps is all about developing a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. It's not so much about going to church. Church is good. I go. It's not so much about attending an event or a function. It's about a personal relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. So step 1 began to rise up in my heart. And what step 1 says is, I admitted that my life now had become, I'm powerless over this substance or this behavior that is just driving me. I acknowledge that I'm powerless, not helpless. I'm powerless over this situation. And because of the powerlessness I'm experiencing over it, my life's becoming unmanageable. Now, I'm keenly aware today that everyone watching this video is not an addict. Everyone watching this is not a heroin junkie. As a matter of fact, most of my Facebook friends are not addicted to substances. But I'm going to tell you this, I'll guarantee you know somebody in your circle that is, because it is at an epidemic. But everyone watching this doesn't have that situation. Some of us, our lives are out of control in other areas due to other things. When I first got born again, the easiest thing that happened, because the Lord did the work for me, He took from me my addiction to alcohol and cocaine. He took from me my addiction to tobacco. Those were things that just lifted from me. He did that. That was the work of what He paid for at Calvary. And a few years, it was like I was on a honeymoon. Things were just so awesome and so marvelous and so perfect. But after about 3 years, an interesting thing began to happen. I began to notice I had some behaviors that didn't seem that healthy. People began to say things like, wow, Regina, gosh, you gained so much weight. And I had. You could sit before me a nutritious meal or a dozen Shipley donuts. What do you think I would choose? It certainly wasn't the nutritious meal. I had this craving, this thing that it was insatiable hunger for sugar. And no matter how big I kept getting, knowing, my father used to even tell me, Regina, you better do something. You better do something, Regina. You can't keep doing that, Regina. I just kept expanding. Listen, I understand what that's like. People began to laugh at me because I said, I can't manage this thing. I know this is bad for me. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I feel. I don't have the money to go out and buy a new wardrobe. I don't like any of this, but yet I continued in the behavior that was getting me the consequence. You see, it's not all about 12 steps. Recovery is not all about just for those of us that have found ourselves addicted to a substance. But behavior is huge. And in order to get the end result of what I was looking for, and I'm still working on it, I had to be willing to admit, I am powerless over this. Wasn't helpless, but powerless. And my life was becoming unmanageable. So, what did I do? I acknowledged to God. And in those days, I became so disappointed. I wanted my husband to have a beautiful wife. I wanted him to be honored by me. I hear what you're saying. You're saying, well, appearance doesn't matter. Well, tell the world that. It does matter. We shouldn't judge based upon, everybody. We shouldn't judge your heart for Jesus based upon your outward appearance. But there is that few second rule. When people first meet you, they size you up according to your appearance. I know. I don't like it either. But I can assure you, if I go out of my house without preparing myself, I'm a scary person. I'm a scary person. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm trying to help somebody. So that means for me, I need to have a certain presentation about myself. If I go and apply for a job, probably need to comb my hair, probably need to wash some clothes, probably need to make sure I have on a little bit of deodorant. But why? Because people look, right or wrong, and base a lot of their opinion on your appearance. I know. Go ahead and say it doesn't matter. Okay, well, just test it. So I understand. I told you from the beginning this would be controversial and it would also be confronting. This is me. So I'm talking to those that identify with me. Anyway, I knew I had to change some behavior if I was to get an end result. So I began to have to change the way I ate. I had to change the amount of portions that I ate. I had to change the timing. Instead of going all day without food, I had to find ways to get in some snacks that were healthy and foods I didn't like. I hate carrots. I hate crunchy stuff unless it's potato chips or Oreos. But I had to learn. I had to train myself to learn that. But you know where, I want to tell you something. There were days, this is what I said, I felt so powerless. And really the deception was, I thought I'd become helpless. I confused powerless and helpless. I'm almost ashamed to tell you one of the prayers I prayed. But this is what I prayed. Hopefully it'll help you. I would say, Lord, if you are there, and if you care, I really need to know that you are there and that you care, because I've become powerless over sugar. Powerless. Will you help me? I acknowledge to Him my behaviors, my cravings that had become powerless, or I had become powerless over. And I acknowledge to Him that this is making my life unmanageable. Your word said, Lord, you would satisfy me with long life. I need your help. Why don't you bite the bullet today? Why don't you admit to the Lord what you're really struggling with? You don't have to be some kind of a street drug junkie to take a first step toward change. Change is available for you today. It is on the table. Why don't you pick it up? Take step one. Admit what you're powerless over. Admit that it's causing your relationships in your life to be unmanageable. And I promise you, if you acknowledge God, He'll direct your path right through it and over it, and you will be an overcomer. Hey, thanks so much. Praying for you, believing God for you, all the way to the kingdom eternal. Yeah, bless you. Bye-bye.